What do you call 6 dead and 25 wounded? A weekend in Chicago. Such crime is so mundane, it's become background music for bad neighborhoods. So why doesn't the media approach this chaos with the same fervor as they do with Ferguson? Repetitive violence doesn't excite because it's not crystallized into one stark act. It doesn't produce the imagery, that Pulitzer protein that builds portfolios and careers. Also, a reporter only needs to hoof it to Ferguson for a week. You want to tackle bigger violence, that's full time. The incidents are too frequent and the cops are too sympathetic, and that's pretty boring. We've been down this road before because the road never changes. Ferguson, Trayvon, and even Newton, these are media musts, for they fit a greater storyline, one that often omits facts that don't fit. The media believes such stories carry a bigger social impact, unlike the horrors that kill more innocents daily. And so their lopsided coverage is actually self-fulfilling, making the story bigger and expanding the suffering. Politicians retreat in response to the media's gaze, acting out of concern for the world view, but not for the shopkeeper. That's why you have riots and no riot police. With mundane death, you can't raise money off it, you can't raise your profile off it, and you can't raise any hell. But with Ferguson, you could do all that. Facts be damned.
That's excellent.
So, Dana, certain types of violence are accepted just because they're common, or is it because it's just not exciting?
I think if when something happens every day or every weekend, like you mentioned Chicago, then it does become a little bit routine and it moves to the back pages because it's hard. There's nothing different. It's nothing new. Michael Brown being shot in Ferguson was different. An unarmed black teenager shot by a white police officer. That is different. Black on black violence, however, as we've talked about on the show, that gets less and less coverage and gets moved to the back pages.
Yeah. Eric, you know what drives me nuts is you have a lot of outsiders coming into a town like Ferguson. Then they will leave, and what's left behind are the shop owners and the police officers left picking up the pieces.
And the street cleaners. Can I call CNN out right now? So this morning I'm watching CNN, and they have the Piaget Crenshaw, the first real eyewitness who's come on television. She said she watched the whole thing happen from her balcony only a few feet above the crime scene. She videotaped what happened after with the officer standing over the dead body, but she had said she witnessed the whole thing. So she was asked the question, what happened? She goes through what happened, which is very compelling, and it corroborates everything we've heard from other eyewitnesses as well. But then something happened. I can't remember the name of the lady who does the morning show, didn't ask a follow-up question. She just took it as fact, didn't ask about hands up, didn't ask about who was charging, what was going on. She turned to an emotional interview. I hear something in your voice. You tell us how you feel. After one question of what happened, your first interview with the facts, and she turns to what's the emotion. CNN failed miserably this morning. That was the moment to find out. I hope someone on Fox gets this woman and gets her in front of a camera and says, what happened after that first, you say he was shot, he turned, he was shot again. Tell us more about what that was all about. Unbelievable. Are they complicit?
Yeah.
Did she just fail the interview?
They want a narrative. They want their narrative to be pure. Bob, what do you think about the media reaction with different types of crimes? We've talked about this a lot.
Yeah, we have, but I think, look, as Dana said, you have a white cop killing an unarmed black kid, which is not the situation in Chicago. Chicago's been going on a long time. As I've said for a long time, it is a gang war over drugs. These are two specific gangs that have been after each other now for 12, 13 years, and a lot of people die. It's much, much different than what happened in Ferguson. So should they go in and be talking about it? Should Sharp do the rest of them do it? I don't know how you deal with gang-on-gang violence when you have that much drugs, that much money involved. But that's what Chicago is. It is a drug war.
But it's a drug war everywhere, and there are innocent bystanders. Little girls who get shot.
That's exactly right.
Hey, Kimberly, shootings, I guess shootings went up 10% in New York over last year. So this is something that is also not being covered as well as it should, perhaps.
No, I mean, the only time you hear news, really, that's relevant and important is when we talk about New York on this show. I mean, you don't hear this stuff covered. And in terms of the case in Ferguson, for me, it bothers me so much that people are looking for race in this solely, that no matter what, if you've never even met an individual, you're just going to assume that they're a racist. Now, why is that? Why does it always have to be that the officer is the bad person, whoever is the shooter is the bad person? Why can't you just assess the facts, Take them for what they are. Make your decisions instead of right away doing the rush to judgment. When people like Al
said he
Sharpton.
was a racist and who thinks
No,
he's
I'm just
racist?
saying, Bob. It's just that when I hear the things that you're saying, you
did earlier.
You just
I
did it
didn't
on
say
the
he was a
show.
racist.
You said, aren't there bad cops? You said it was a bad cop.
I didn't say about this cop. Now, wait a minute. Let's be clear about
Good.
this.
What's
I
the
never
fine?
once said, not once, did I suggest in any way that this cop was a racist or, in fact, this was a racially motivated crime. I didn't say that. I said that you can't say all cops are good cops when you look at what's happened in other areas. There have been bad cops.
But we're not saying that. What we're talking about is looking at the individual facts and circumstances.
Okay, but don't lay me calling the guy a racist. I don't know who he is. He could be, for all I know, he could have been go down and do civil rights work every week. I don't know.
On that note.
That's it. We don't know.
Directly ahead, text